Okay, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Right. Now, let's look at today's lesson then. So today's lesson, what we're going to be covering is, we're going to be covering these issues. So we're going to look at composition of sentences, different possibilities of sentences. We're going to be looking at connection between two words, i.e. mubtada, khabar, sifa, mawsuf. So I'll be explaining these. Then we're going to be looking at something known as a shibh jumla, which is known as a partial sentence. Right? And partial sentences, we're going to look at two types of partial sentences. Then we're going to look at marfu'at. Okay, from the marfu'at, remember I gave you a list of marfu'at. How many marfu'at are there? Who remembers? Remember there's eight types of marfu'at. So on the list I've sent you guys 8 types of marfu'at. Mansubat, how many types of mansubat are there? Okay, 12 types. Yeah, so remember on the list I've given you 8 types of that. Mansubat, there's 12 types of mansubat. So we're going to be looking at a few types of these, inshallah, covering today. Anyway, so let's start. So first of all, composition of sentences and different possibilities. Like I told you guys before, sentences in Arabic are of two types. There's two possible types of sentences you can have. You can have what we call a jumla ismiya, and a jumla ismiya is a sentence that is an ism based sentence. Like for example, Zaid Salih. This is what we call an is rule. Yeah, so Zaid Salih. Zaid is pious. And the second type you can have is what we call a fi'l based sentence. So for example, Dhahaba Zaid. So the sentence starts off with a fi'l. Okay, so this is called a fi'l based sentence. So we have a jumla ismiya and we have a jumla fi'liya. And if you go through the Quran, every single sentence that you have in the Quran is either a jumla ismiya or a jumla fi'liya. It has to be one of those. Okay, so this is where we break it all down. Now, what I want to talk about today is the composition of sentences, and I want to look at the mubtada sentences, because that's, if you start from the mubtada sentences, we can understand other sentences through that. So those who've studied the 17 lessons with me would know I call this the is rule, mubtada khabar. These are all the possible types of mubtada and khabar sentences you can get. Just remember that. I think I've covered most of them. If I missed anything out, then they'll come under one of these. So look at this now. So mubtada and khabar sentences. So I've done 14 here. So mubtada, like at-talibu salihun. At-talib salih means that the student is pious. Okay, now the mubtada here is a mufrad. Mufrad means a single word. So at-talib is a single word times 1, right? And it's mubtada and khabar salih. Sometimes the mubtada appears in the form of what we call idafa, mudaf, mudaf ilay. Yeah, as I call it the of rule. So sadiqu at-talibi, sadiqu at-talibi. The friend of the student is pious. So now notice, before it was a single word, now it's made up of 2 words, and the 2 words are mudaf and mudaf ilay. Idafa. Idafa simply means 2 words that are linked via mudaf and mudaf ilay. Number 3, you have muta'alliq bijar majrur. So at-talib lil ilmi. So this word here has li in there. Li is a harf jar, preposition, and this preposition is connected to at-talib. That's what is known as muta'alliq. So at-talibu lil ilmi, the student for knowledge. Okay, the student for knowledge. In other words, the person studying knowledge. So at-talibu lil ilm, the student for knowledge, is pious. So sometimes there's a student for, like there's, talib literally means like a seeker. The seeker for food, the seeker for friendship, the seeker for company. And this is a seeker for knowledge. The seeker for knowledge is Salih is pious. And okay, next. متعلق بالظرف. So الطالب, the seeker, the student, فوق البيت, who is on top of the house. So this فوق is متعلق, connected to طالب. Yeah, so الطالب, the student. Which student? The one on top of the house. Yeah. So the student who is on top of the house is pious. The student who is on top of the house is pious. So this entire thing is the mubtada. Now notice the concept of mubtada does not necessarily have to be a single word. It can be a series of words. Like here is one word, and Sadiqut Talib is kind of two words, and At-Talib bil Ilm is kind of three words, because you have an ism, you have a harf, and you have an ism. And At-Talibu Fawqa al-Bayti, again, three words. So this is all mubtada. At-Talibul Jadidu, this is sifan mawsuf. Okay, so adjective, describing word. So At-Talibul Jadid, the new student, is pious. Okay, Nakira Amma. This is what we call Nakira Amma. Nakira Amma means just a Nakira word, but it has the meaning of generality. So general, Nakira Amma we call it. So in other words, Kullun in Arabic means everyone. Like literally in English it would mean every. Every is in the madrasa, meaning everyone is in the madrasa. So this is called a Nakira, and it's Am because it includes everyone. So sometimes a mubtada can be a nakira if it gives this meaning. Okay, number 7, Mawsul Sila. So remember I told you about Mawsuls. Okay, we said Mawsuls are a type of mabni words, and they're ma'rifah as well. So this is a Mawsul and this is a Sila al-Yusalli. Every Mawsul needs a Sila. Yeah, every Mawsul needs a Sila. So Alladhi Yusalli. Alladhi means the one who, and Yusalli means pray. The one who prays is pious. So all of this is packaged as a mubtada. Mawsul and the sila put together. Damir. Okay, pronouns. So I gave you a list of pronouns before. So this is a pronoun, this is. So huwa salih, he is pious. That's a mubtada. Dhalika. Ishara, that. That is pious. Like I'm pointing at someone, I'm saying that guy, that is pious. So dhalika salihun. Anta sumu. This is what we call mu'awwal. Mu'awwal means a sentence that's interpreted as a single word. Mu'awwal means interpreted, to interpret. So mu'awwal is antasumu, even though it's made up of a fi'l, a verb, because of the an, it renders this, transforms this into a single word, a noun. It transforms a verb into a noun. So it becomes a mubtada. Because remember we said that a sign of a noun is that it's a mubtada. So verbs can't be mubtadas. So antasumu khairun lakum. Number 11, nakira masbuq bin nafi simply means a nakira word, talib, which has before it a nafi. Nafi means negation. Ma means not. Okay, so ma talibun would mean a student. Antasumu, tasumu means to fast. So antasumu, it means to fast is better for you. To fast is better for you. So remember I told you about, I gave you the list. Right, let me just see where the list is. I'll bring it up. Types of nouns. Okay, so remember this list you had here. Yeah, so this is the one that we're talking about, mu'awwal. It's called a masdar mu'awwal. Okay, masdar mu'awwal. So antasumu is actually a fi'l, a verb, but because of an, it's transformed it into a masdar, an ism, a noun. So fasting, or you can say to fast, is better for you. Okay, ma talibun. So talibun is a nakira. It's a nakira, not a ma'rifah. And ma is negating, so not. So a student is not pious. Ma talibun bisalihin. A student is not pious. So sometimes you can have mubtada as being a nakira, like we had over here. Kullu. Ism al-istifham, like man, like you're asking a question. Man as-salih, who is the pious one? So this word who is called the ism istifham. Again, if you remember the list we had over here, ism istifham. Yeah, istifham. So ism istifham, man, who, that becomes a mubtada automatically. So in any question you have where it starts off with man, generally you treat it as a mubtada. Yeah, generally. Now I say generally because sometimes you treat it as something else. So man as-salih, who is the pious one? So who is mubtada, as-salih is the khabar. Ism shart, again if you look at the list, shart, ism shart, okay, and the mabni type of words. So ism shart, it means like whoever. Whoever. Whoever listens understands. Man yasma yafham. So man is the mubtada and the rest of the sentence is all the khabar. Yeah. Man, whoever listens understands, all that's the khabar. Okay, ma tamma. Ma tamma, finally. So ma tamma is a special kind of ma which has the meaning of thing. Yeah, thing, shay. In Arabic you say shay. So ma ahsan al-walad. So what thing, ahsan al-walad, is beautiful, that child. Now it's a bit strange when I translate it because it actually, in like English we would say something like this: what a beautiful child. Yeah, what a beautiful child. Say ma ahsan al-walad, or what a good child. So that what here is the mubtada and ahsan al-walad is the khabar. Now don't worry, I don't expect you to understand each one of these, the rules behind it. All I want to show you is a blueprint or a map of all the types of mubtadas you can get. So if you were to open the Quran and you go through the Quran, what you will actually find is that mubtadas, any ayah you choose from the Quran, they would definitely come under one of these. Any ayah. So for example, like if you had Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. So Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, this comes under one of them. Yeah, so here Alhamdu, this is the first type, mufrad, Lillahi Rabbil Alameen. Okay, and if you go to, for example, Dhalika al-Kitab, again Dhalika comes under mubtada, which is ism ishara. Okay, Dhalika al-Kitab, etc. So all I want to show you is the overview of what mubtadas can look like. So in your mind you might have it, for example, you might think to yourself, mubtadas are always in the form of isrules, like simple isrules. The student is pious. But they can actually be in these forms as well, treated as mubtada. Everyone understand this? Any questions on this chart? Don't worry, these rules will be covering them slowly. Some of them we've covered and we'll be covering them. Okay, excellent. Right, let's carry on then. Now, if you remember, I told you about composition of sentences and different possibilities. So this is one type of sentence. Okay, this is known as a mubtada khabar sentence, and khabars can take different forms as well. And I didn't send you that now. I'll actually send you that next week, inshallah. The different forms, and there's not that many. Now, the other type of sentence, what was it called? One is a jumla ismiya and the other is jumla fi'liya. Excellent. So okay, now we're going to look at jumla fi'liya, okay? Now look at this. Jumla fi'liya is a sentence that has to have a verb and a subject. You must have a verb and a subject. The object isn't necessary. You don't always have to have an object. Okay, objects are not necessary. Sometimes you have them, sometimes you don't have them. Doesn't really matter, but you must have a verb and a subject for every jumla fi'liya. Now the jumla fi'liya, the verb and the subject, for example, like akala Khalid. Khalid ate. So akala Khalid, akala is the verb. Who did the eating? Khalid did the eating. Now this subject, verbs, I'm not going to go into verbs too much in this course because that's more specific for sarf. But generally, verbs are something that you would know what a verb is like. So in grammar, you don't really deal too much with verbs. You only deal with verbs when you have to make a change to a verb. That's only when we deal with it. Subject, on the other hand, you probably want to know what kind of forms can a subject take. So I didn't make a table for this because we can use this table as well. So remember this, okay? So for a subject, all of these, this, 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 and this, okay, all of these can be used as subjects. So in other words, in place of a subject like akala, in place of Khalid, you can actually have any one of these. So subjects can take up to 10 forms. Yeah, you can have the 10 forms of subjects. So a subject can be a mufrad. Can be a mufrad. It can be a idafa like sadiqul talib. You can say akala at-talib. You can say akala sadiqul talib. You can say akala at-talib lil-ilm. The student for knowledge studied ate. At-talib fawq al-bayt. The student on top of the house ate the food or ate. At-talib al-jadid. The new student ate. Kullun, everyone ate. Alladhi yusalli. The one who is praying ate. He ate. Dhalika, that person ate. Antasumu. Obviously antasumu, you can't use antasumu with akala. You can use it with another verb. For example, you can say something like yajuzu antasumu. Yajuz would mean it's jaiz, from the word jaiz. Yeah. Yajuzu antasum. Antasum, fasting is jaiz. Fasting is allowed. So antasumu would be the file of yajuzu. Have you got that? So again, if you look in the Quran, you look anywhere in the Quran and you find a subject for a verb, then you will always find it comes under one of these. Right? So, for instance, khatamallahu, okay, out of this list, it falls under mufrad, single word. Let's say, for example, you say, where else is it? Yakadul barqu again. So yakadul barq, what type does this come under? In the list, al barq. Okay, number one, very good. Mufrad. Okay, الشيطان أزلهم الشيطان. What does that come under? أزلهم الشيطان. Shaitan made them slip. Okay, very good. I'm trying to look for a longer one. Okay. No, actually, that's not one. Okay, Rabbuhum. Which one does that come under? فَاسْتَجَابَ لَهُمْ رَبُّهُمْ. Their Lord answered for them. Their Lord, رَبُّهُمْ. رَبُّهُمْ. Okay, this would actually come under idafa. It comes under idafa. Everyone understand why? Because you have Rabb, mudaf, and hum mudaf ilay. I know it's got damir in there, but it's not just a damir. It's made up of mudaf and mudaf ilay. Yeah, of. Okay, look at this. تَقَلُّبُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فِي الْبِلَادِ. Now look at this one. This is again made up of rule. Yeah, so this is the mudaf. This is the mudaf ilay. تَقَلُّبُ, and the mudaf ilay is actually made up of mawsul and sila. Mudaf ilay is made up of mawsul, sila, which all of that becomes the mudaf ilay, second word of rule. And taqallubu becomes what? The mudaf. Yeah, so I didn't do it like a separate one for this because it comes under mudaf ilay, sadiqut talib. It simply is that the mudaf ilay is like alladhi yusalli. Yeah. It's not mubtada. Not mubtada, what is it? It's the fa'il. Yeah. It's the fa'il of yaghurranna. Everyone got that? Make sense? Yeah, so remember guys that the fa'il is a simple concept, but it comes in different forms. And I want you to recognize the forms. That's why I gave this table. I want you to recognize what forms it comes into. So when we break down sentences, any sentence, even in the Quran, you guys can recognize, you can say, oh yeah, look, this is that form there. There's that form there. Okay, let's look at one more and then we'll quickly move on. Okay, taraka azwajukum. What's azwajukum? Taraka azwajukum. Taraka azwajukum. Yeah, very good. Mudaf ilay. Shabash, excellent. Okay, alhamdulillah. You guys got the idea of that. So keep this table with you, print it off, always go back to it because very, very useful. This table is extremely useful. Okay, finally, last one now. Again, in a jumla fi'liya sentence, if you have an object, then what kind of forms can the object take? So again, the object can take all these forms. Yeah, it can take all these forms from 1 to 10 again, the same ones it can take. So you an object maf'ul bihi, which is known as maf'ul bihi, it can come in the form of a single word, as idafa, muta'alliq. It can come as all these, kullan, alladhi, yusalli, all of that. The only thing I would say is instead of huwa, it has the corresponding damir. So for instance, let me just bring up that damir page again. Remember, these ideally have them printed out next to you, so whenever you're doing any sort of text, Quran or anything, you know what you're looking at. So there's a little mistake that I made here, and mashallah, one of the students pointed it out to me. So it's supposed to be mansoob. Okay, I made a mistake there. That's supposed to be mansoob. So what you'd be using is you'd be using one of the mansoob ones. So for a maf'ul bihi, because it comes under the category of mansoobat, so you'd be using one of these, the one in blue. Yeah, that's all you have to remember for that list. You'll be using one of these. Yeah, and everything else will be the same really. And this is for maf'ul bihi. So from 1 to 10 again. Like for example, I could say ra'aytu, I saw. Yeah, so ra'aytu is fi'l and the file, and talib would be the maf'ul bihi. The only difference is you'd have a fatha on there, a taliba. رأيت صديق الطالب, again fatha there. رأيت الطالب للعلم, رأيت الطالب فوق البيت, رأيت الطالب الجديد, رأيت كلا, رأيت الذي يصلي, I saw the one who was praying. رأيت, I saw, and instead of this you would say رأيته, who, just add a who to the end. رأيت who, and رأيت ذلك, I saw that. And رأيت أن تصوموا, so instead of, obviously رأيت wouldn't fit in with this kind of sentence. You would say something like أحب, I like that you fast. أحب أن تصوموا. Okay, so that. So let's look in the, everyone understand that, yeah? Everyone got it? So let's look in the Quran then. Okay, so in the Quran, for instance, no problems, brother. No problems. Okay, we just let's just summarize for the brother, inshallah, and then we'll continue. So, brother, what we done today was we talked about what we're going to discuss, inshallah. These are the points that we're going to discuss today, and we started on composition of sentences, different possibilities. So I gave this handout and I went through it. So basically, these are all or most of the possibilities that you can have for a mubtada. Yeah, so there can be a mufrad, idafa, متعلق بحرف جر, متعلق بالظرف, صفة موصوف, نكرة عامة, موصول صلة, ضمير إشارة مؤول, نكرة مسبوق بالنفي, استفهام, اسم شرط, تأمات تامة. You can have all of these as a mubtada, right? And the concept is the same. If you look anywhere in the Quran, any sentence that you have which is a mubtada khabar sentence, the mubtada will definitely come under one of these. Okay. Now, these 1 to 10 can actually also be the ones for fa'il as well. So if you have a jumla fi'liya, the fa'il can come under one of these forms. So if you look anywhere in the Quran, any fa'il that you have for a fi'l, it can be used as one of these, and it will fall under one of these concepts. And then now we're talking about this, that as well, from 1 to 10, any maf'ul bihi, object, maf'ul bihi, can fall under one of these. The only difference is huwa will be in the mansub form of damir. So that list of damirs that we had. So huwa will be under the one of the mansub ones, the blue ones. That's all. Yeah, so these are the forms, and it's important to know the form because a lot of students get confused as how they break down a mubtada and khabar sentence. Like which part of the sentence is the mubtada and which part is the khabar. So once you've understood this, anywhere you look in the Quran, you should be able to identify the sections of mubtada and the khabar. So let's look at examples in the Quran of maf'ul bihi now. So okay, so maf'ul bihi, right? Ya Allah. Okay, look at this. May yuta illaha. The word Allah is a maf'ul bihi. What out of this list? Which type is it? So out of that list, which type of maf'ul bihi is it? Okay, mufrad. Very good. Yeah. So it's a mufrad word. Excellent. Mufrad. Okay, let's look at another one then. يعملون السوء. 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 What kind of would this be? Okay, number 1. Yeah, excellent, very good. Number 1. Let's say, for instance, it was السوء بجهالة. So B, let's say it's متعلق to su. Then what type of maf'ul bihi would this be? Okay, this could be the third type. Excellent, very good. Yeah, so the third type, متعلق بحرف جر, it become that. Okay. عذابا أليما. أعتدنا لهم عذابا أليما. What type would this be? صفة موصوف. الطالب الجديد. Yeah. No, not number 7. Yeah, 7 would be موصول sila. It has to have a موصول in there. Yeah, no problem. No problem. Okay, let's look at another one then. Okay, this is a good one. Okay, so look at the top one. لا يحل لكم. Actually, no, this is actually a file one. Yeah, this is a file. Let's do the file one then. أن ترثوا النساء. أن ترثوا النساء. What kind of well, actually, it's all of this really. أن ترثوا النساء كرها. What kind of file is this? لا يحل, it's not halal for you. What's not halal for you? Yeah. Everyone agree, number 10? Yeah. Excellent. Correct. Yeah, so here, this is the fail. Right, and put F for fail. And this is the file. It's not halal for you to do what? أن ترثوا النساء كرها. That you forcefully inherit women. Yeah, so that's the file. مؤول. Okay. تعدلوهن. Hunna, what kind of مفعول به is this? What kind of مفعول به is this? Okay, number 8. Everyone agree? Number 8? Yeah, and remember I said to you, it doesn't follow that damir pattern. It follows its own damir pattern. Yeah, so it has to follow the mansubat ones. Yeah, so nasarahu, nasarahuma, any one of those, or even iyahu, etc. Yeah, brother, does that make sense, brother Abid? No problem, inshallah. Okay, and let's just do one more, and then we move on, inshallah. No problem, inshallah. Okay. Okay, look at this one now. So والمحصنات من النساء. والمحصنات من النساء. What kind of a mubtada is that? What kind of a mubtada? متعلق حرف جر مجرور. Excellent. So alhamdulillah, you got the idea of slowly how to recognize these words, and that's the main thing that you need to get. The details in each sentence. So for example, like this, look, man lam yastati. This man, what kind of a mubtada is this? من لم يستطع منكم طولا أن ينكح المحصنات والمؤمنات. Yeah, this is very good. So this is the man. This is man. Number 13, ism shart. Yeah, ism shart. You'll learn more about ism shart as you go along, but understand that this is ism shart. So man, whoever. So this will become the mubtada, and all the rest of it will be treated as khabar. So whoever, lam yastati' minkum tawlan. Yeah. So man lam yastati' minkum tawlan. All of that would become, until it actually goes up to there. Yeah, all of that up to there is the khabar. It's quite a long khabar. But in the Quran, it's important to recognize the khabars because the translation can change by different tarkeebs. Anyway, alhamdulillah, we've covered that. Now, one thing just to remember regarding fa'ils and maf'ul bihis. Okay, fa'il, maf'ul bihis. And that is this, that sometimes the fa'il and the maf'ul bihi, what they appear as is, they can appear as majroors. Yeah, but don't get confused by that. Like for example, if you say dhahaba, and normally after dhahaba you bring a fa'il, like dhahaba talibun. Yeah, talibun is the fa'il of dhahaba. Maf'ul bihi is object. Ji. Okay, object. So, like, I ate an apple. An apple would be an object. Or I opened the door. So here, what would be the object? Door, excellent. So, dhahaba talibun. In Arabic, you can actually say this. Sometimes, like in the Quran, sometimes it says this. ذهب من طالب. Now you see, even though that's majroor, this min, we call it min zaida. You call this an extra min. Yeah, file is always marfu. So I'm just telling you that sometimes that min you can get is called a zaida, extra. And even though it affects the vowel on talib, you treat it all as the file. This is treated as file, this is. And it comes for emphasis. In Arabic, comes for emphasis. Okay, so ذهب min talibin, it's marfu as in the whole mahal is marfu. And this min existing is zaida, meaning it has no effect on changing it into majroor. So it's not technically majroor, it's actually marfu. And whenever this comes, like in a text or in the Quran, I'll point it out to you. I'll say to you, look, this is a min majroor, so it's a fa'il. Does that make sense? So that's all you have to remember. And this min zaida can appear on files and it can appear on maf'ul bihi's objects. It can appear on either. So it does not mean that it's technically majroor, it's actually still marfu, or in the object case, it's still mansoob. Okay, alhamdulillah. So we've covered that. That's done. Okay, next, connection between words now. Now, the next thing to understand is the connection between two words. So whenever you have two words in the Arabic language, these two words are always going to have some sort of a link. So whenever you have two words, either there's going to be a link or no link. Like for example, let's say I have a sentence. I have a sentence like Zaid Salih. Okay, so that's mubtada and khabar. And then next to this, I have two other words. Like if I say Fatima fil bayt. So Fatima is mubtada, fil bayt is the khabar. Now you see, between these two, there is no link at all. These two are two disjointed sentences. There's no link between them. Right? So it's like a new sentence. So we don't need to deal with those. What we need to deal with is the ones where there's a link between each two words. So whenever you get two words, there can be various possibilities of links. For example, like a link might be a mubtada khabar link. Link, by the way, in Arabic would be can be translated as a rabat or isnad, okay, or some words similar to that. So mubtada and a khabar have a link between them two, like a natural link in grammar. Or for example, like the link between a fi'l and a fa'il. There's a natural link between them. Okay, or between a file and a maf'ul bihi. So maybe there's a file and a maf'ul bihi. Yeah, there's a link between them. They're joined through the verb. Or for example, like, you know, mawsuf sifa. Mawsuf, a described word, and sifa. Yeah, so for example, like at-talibu al-jadid. So at-talibu, the new student. Between them there's a link there. It's called idafa. The link is, sorry, tawsif. The link is known as tawsif. It's not necessary to remember these names. All you have to remember, there is a link. It's called a tawsif link. Tawsifi. Wasaf link. Sometimes you have two words and the link between them is mudaf and mudaf ilay. Mudaf and mudaf ilay. Okay, so for example, like Sadiqut Talib, like we had on the list. Yeah, so Sadiqut Talib, Sadiq at-Talib. So this is a link that we have, Sadiqu at-Talib. And this link is known as idafa. Whenever I say to you, right, there's idafa here, I simply mean there's a mudaf and a mudaf ilay. Idafa. Okay, just two more to go. Sometimes you have a link between two words, and that link is mushar and mushar ilayhi. Mushar and mushar ilayhi. So for instance, if I say something like ذلك الرجل. So ذلك الرجل, it's not a mubtada and khabar. In this case, it means that man. That man. So the link between them, mushar and mushar ilay, is known as ishara. Different color. Ishara. Okay, and finally, the last link that you can have between two words is what we call a link which is al-bina, murakkab bina'i. The two parts of the words, they don't have a name for it. So it's just known as murakkab bina'i. And this is where two words are fixed together in Arabic, and they don't change. They never ever change. Like the numbers from 11 till 19, apart from 12. Like for example, if I say khamsa asharata, 15. So this is what we call murakkab bina'i, meaning they're fixed. Two words which are fixed by the Arabs. Khamsa asharata. They're fixed like that. Okay, this is, like I said, it's called murakkab bina'i. So these are the different links you have between words. Okay, links between words. So whenever, like if you look in the Quran, if you open the Quran on any page, if you see two words like khuliqa and insan, what's the link between khuliqa and insan? Khuliqa means to create, and insan, means insan. The link is fi'l and fa'il. Yeah? Okay, if I say La ta'kulu amwalakum, do not eat your wealth. What's the link between these two words? Yeah, the link is, again, fi'l and maf'ul bihi, object. Okay, so you always have these links between words. Maylan aziman. Okay, maylan aziman, it's mawsuf and sifa adjective. Mawsuf and sifa. So at this stage, all I want you to understand is that between words, there's links between them. And those links could be of various reasons, like I've listed. Okay, so we've done that. Okay, next. partial sentences. Okay, partial sentences. Now, partial sentences simply mean a sentence which has harf jar in there or dharf. So remember in the list of types of words that we said, so the dharf, yeah, a word that has a dharf in there, that sentence can be what we call a partial sentence. So fawqa al-bayt, this is what we call a partial sentence. And fil bayt, from here up to here, is a partial sentence. The reason they call it partial sentence is because it's not really complete. It needs something else to become complete. So it's a partial sentence. So any sentence that starts off with a word that starts off with a harf jar and dharf can possibly be a partial sentence. So whenever this kind of sentence comes, I'm going to say to you, we call this shibh jumla. Shibh jumla. Right, so for now, I just want you to understand that. So whenever it comes, it's going to come quite a lot in the hadith that we're going to do. Just want you to understand, right? This is called the mubtada. Fil bayt is the khabar. And the khabar, I'll say to you, what kind of khabar is this? You say to me, it's a shibh jumla. A partial khabar. A partial, sentence. And if I say to you, Zayd, what's Zayd? You say to me, Zayd is a mubtada. What's fawq al-bayt, on top of the house? This is a partial jumla. Okay, everyone got that? Okay, and finally the last part, I kind of explained it already today's lesson, which was the marfu'at, the fa'il, and I told you the different forms it can take, and I told you about the maf'ul bihi, which is the object. So fa'il is anyone who does the action is called a fa'il. So if I say akala Zaydun at-ta'am, Zayd ate the food, who's doing the eating? Out of these three words, who's doing the eating? So Zayd is. Yeah. So Zayd is the subject, the fa'il. We call him a fa'il. And I said to you, the fa'il can come in various forms. And akala Zayd at-ta'am, in this case, ta'am is the maf'ul bihi, the object of the verb. As in, what is Zayd eating? So if you want to understand what the fa'il is, all you have to do is you can put this question in. The question is this: who is doing the action? Yeah. Who is doing the action? So the answer to that, who is doing the action, would be the fa'il. And the object would be what is, and in this case, Zayd doing. Yeah, what is Zayd doing? So the answer to that would be the object. So you can go through the Quran, entire Quran, and every time you get a verb, you question who is doing this, and you'll get the fa'il. And every time you say what is this person doing, and that is going to be the object. Okay, excellent. So last week we done the first hadith, ad-din nasiha. Let's do the next one now. So now we're going to start doing more hadith, inshallah. Okay, now this word, if you look at this word, is this a ism, fi'l or harf? So what we say is this is actually a fi'l. Now someone might say, well, it actually looks like an ism. Can't it be an ism? La'an, yeah, which means to curse. La'an. So if it's an ism, then we can make it a mubtada. But the problem with that, the translation wouldn't be correct then. So when you do tarkeebs, you like a combination lock. You're going to try to go through the combinations to figure out what's the code. So you're going to come out with some combinations that are totally wrong, that can't be. So for example, if you make la'an ism, then you'll have to make it mudaf to the word Allah. The curse of Allah is akilur riba, the eater of riba. That doesn't make sense. Okay, so we make la'an into the verb la'ana. It's a verb, la'ana yal'anu, fi'l. And when we break down a fi'l, all we have to do is we just identify what kind of fi'l is it. It's a fi'l, it's a past madi, it's a single, it's masculine, and it's ghaib. Ghaib means third person. Yeah, so la'ana. And every fi'l needs a fa'il. So therefore the word Allah, this is an ism. Is it 1, 2 or 3? Single, dual, excellent. Single. Is it masculine or feminine? Masculine. Is it mudhakkar or muannath? Mudhakkar. Excellent. Is it mu'rab or mabni? Mu'rab. Okay, next week inshallah I'm going to be giving you sending you a list of the different forms of mu'rab. Okay, so I've actually got my own way of explaining mu'rab. I know that if you studied Arabic grammar, they've got this 16 table. I've got my own way, inshallah. It's much easier. So I'll be doing mu'rab next week. Okay, so mu'rab, it's mu'rab. And is it marfu, mansub or majroor? Okay, remember we have a verb here, fi'l. Okay, and who's doing the la'na? So very good, marfu. Who's doing the la'na? Allah is. Yeah, so because Allah is doing the la'na, He is the fa'il, and fa'il is a category of marfu. How many types of marfu are there? 8 types, excellent. So it's marfu. Why? Because it's the fa'il. So we're going to give this, what vowel are we going to put on the word Allah? Dhamma, excellent. Yeah, so la'ana Allahu. And in the list of, that list that we done of types of mubtada, what type of fa'il would this be in the 10? What type of fa'il? Mufrad, excellent, the first type. Yeah, single word. Okay, brilliant, mashallah, you guys are getting it. Next, akil. Now, akil, is this a ism, fi'l or harf? Remember, this is akil, right, on the wazn of fa'il. Yeah, akil, fa'il, ismul fa'il, this is. It's ismul fa'il. So, is it ism, fi'l or harf? Well, obviously, I've just said it. It's an ism. Okay, is this 1, 2 or 3? 1. Is it mudhakkar or muannath? What would the muannath form of akil be? Akila, shabash, excellent, mashallah, very good. And is it ma'rifah or nakira? So remember that list I told you guys, it's actually ma'rifah. Remember that list I told you guys about ma'rifah? You guys remember it? Yeah, so let me bring it up. Where's ma'rifah? Okay, where's that list? Okay, actually, I remember I wrote it down for you guys. Remember I said there's 7 types of ma'rifah. Yeah, so let me just quickly write it again. 7 types of ma'rifah. Anyone remember them? Yeah, so remember we said the first is all damirs. Yeah, damir, all names, proper nouns. All isharas, all mawsuls, all words that have al, any word that's mudaf to any of the above. Mudaf to any of the above, and then the last one was any word that comes after ya, which you call the munada. Okay, I think what I'll do is I'll make a list, like a formal list for you guys. I'll send that out to you so you can print it off, inshallah. So out of this 7, which type of ma'rifah is it? Does it have, is it a damir? No. Is it a name, akil? No. Is it ishara? No. Is it Mosul? No, not Mosul. Not Mosul. I'm going to send you Mosul, a handout for Mosul, inshallah. Does it have al on there? No. It's mudaf. What is it mudaf to out of these? It's mudaf to a word that has al. So because ar-riba, it has al on there. So therefore akil is automatically now treated as ma'rifah. MashaAllah. Everyone else got it? Yeah. Okay, so mudhakkar, mu'rab. Yep, comes under mu'rab. Is it marfu, mansoob or majroor? So remember, verb has been done, the file has been done. So what's the link between akil and the word Allah? What's the link here in this sentence? Allah cursed. Who did he curse? Mansoob. Why is it mansoob? Maf'ul bihi. Shabash. MashaAllah. Excellent. You guys got it. Yeah, maf'ul bihi. Yeah, so this is the maf'ul bihi of la'ana. In other words, who is Allah cursing? What's the object? The akil al-riba. That's who he's cursing. So, okay, what vowel are we going to put on the word akil? How many fathas? One fatha. Excellent. Why one fatha? Because it's mudaf, mudaf ilayh. So remember that. The mudaf can only take a single vowel. Okay, so akila. Okay, finally, riba. Ism, fi'l or harf? Ism, shabash. Is it 1, 2 or 3? Okay, is it mudhakkar or muannath? Yeah, very good. Is it ma'rifah or nakira? Ma'rifah, shabash. Is it a mu'rab or mabni? Mu'rab, excellent. Now, this is a type of mu'rab which we call the vowels are hidden. Muqaddar. Okay, we call this hidden vowels. So muqaddar means hidden vowels. So there are some words in Arabic where the vowels are hidden. Like for example, the name Musa. The vowels are hidden. We don't call it mabni because it's not one of the lists. You know those lists of mabni words. It's not one of these. You can only be a mabni if it falls under one of these. Right. So because it's not one of these, we automatically say that this is a muqaddar, hidden vowels. Yeah, so like Musa, riba, the vowels are hidden. So if the vowels were to be apparent, what vowel would it take? Any idea? If the vowels are apparent, kasra, excellent. Because it would be, why kasra? Because what state is it in? Marfu, mansoob, majroor. Mudaf ilay, majroor, excellent. Remember we said on the list that majroors are two types. The mudaf ilays and anything that comes after harf jar. Shabash, you got it. So if you break this down then, la'ana, this is the fi'l. And the word Allah is the fa'il. And akil al-riba, in that list, which form does it fall under? In the types of object, types of maf'ul bihi. But what type does it fall under in this? Very good, excellent. Okay, right. So let's explain the hadith then. Everyone happy with the tarkeeb? Alhamdulillah. I hope I'm not rushing it with you guys. I'm trying to go as slow as I can, inshallah, to make you guys understand it thoroughly. لَعَنَ اللَّهُ آكِلَ الرِّبَى. So the hadith literally translates as this. Allah cursed the eater of riba. Allah cursed the eater of riba. Okay, so Allah cursed the eater of riba. In other words, the one who consumes usury, interest, that person is cursed by Allah. What is interest? Interest is, there's two types of interest that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned. One is what we call charging someone for a debt or a loan. Yeah, so charging for a loan. So you borrow someone money and then you say to them, right, if you pay me back next month, you have to pay 5% extra. So I borrow you £1,000 and I take off you £1,000 plus 5% of £1,000. Right, so that's not allowed. So that's called charging loan. That's riba, which is haram. And the second type is a riba where you sell two items, or you exchange, sorry, not sell. You exchange two items on either side. So one on either side. So for example, let's say this guy, he's selling dates, and this guy is selling dates. The two items have to be weighed or measured, and number two is they have to be the same. So date for date, and dates are weighed and dates are weighed. So the Prophet ﷺ said, if you sell the same item for the same item, it has to be equal in amount. Like let's say if I sell Saudi dates for Tunisian dates, I have to sell, let's say 10. If I want to sell 10, I have to in exchange get 10. I can't sell 10 in exchange for, let's say 15. So 10 for 15 would be haram. That would be riba. Yeah, because that is 10 plus 5 extra, and that 5 extra would be riba. So the Prophet ﷺ, he forbade that. So akil riba would come under both types of interest. Everyone understand that? Yep. Okay, let's just quickly do one more hadith, and then inshallah we call it a day. Okay, next. So ad-du'a. Okay, ism, fi'l or harf. 1, 2 or 3. مذكر أو مؤنث. معرفة ونكرة. Okay, الدعاء is actually مذكر. Yeah, dua is actually مذكر. There are some words in Arabic which can be which have alif mamdood at the end, which can be mu'annath. However, there's certain rules for them. Inshallah, I'll mention them when mu'annath comes. Okay, mudhakkar. Is it mora? Is it starting to forget now. Okay, so it's mudhakkar, mu'annath, and then morab mabni. Right, morab mabni. Morab. Okay, is it معرفة نكرة أو معرفة دون معرفة؟ Is it مرفوع منصوب مجرور؟ Why is it مرفوع? مبتدا. Excellent. Remember, beginning of a sentence, you got an ism. In most cases, it's a mubtada. So what vowel are we going to give dua? Dhamma. So if this is the mubtada, what's the rest of it going to be? Shabash, excellent. Yeah, so you can straight away put the vowels onto this, can't you? What's the link between mukh and ibadah? Mukh means core, and ibadah means ibadah. What's the link between the two words? Idafa, shabash. Yeah, mudaf. So we'll do the list anyway. We'll break it down, but you guys have worked it out anyway. So what vowel would I put on mukh? Dhamma. Remember, it's a khabar. Khabar, you have to give it Dhamma, marfu. Yep. And ibadah, what do you give this? Majroor, shabash. Why is it majroor? Mudaf ilayh. So let's do the breakdown then. So mukh, ism, fi'l, harf. Ism. Okay, 1, 2 or 3. 1. Mudhakkar or muannath? Mudhakkar. Okay, mu'rab or mabni? Mu'rab. Ma'rifa or nakira? See who gets this. Ma'rifa. Why is it ma'rifa? You're right. Very good. Mudaf to a word that has al. Okay, is it marfu, mansoob, majroor? Marfu. Why is it marfu? Marfu because it's the khabar. Ibadah, ism, fi'l, harf. Ism. 1, 2 or 3. Mudhakkar or muannath? Muannath. Okay, is it a mu'rab mabni? Mu'rab. Is it ma'rifa nakira? Ma'rifa. Is it marfu, mansoob, majroor? Majroor. Why is it majroor? Mudaf ilayh. Excellent, shabash. So again, if we were to break this down, we simply say, okay, there's no harf jar here. Okay, there's no, so it would be majroor because of mudaf ilayh. Does that make sense? Yeah, so ad-du'a mubtada and mukhul ibadah, all that's khabar. Again, what type of mubtada is ad-du'a in those 14 types we done? Mufrad. Yeah. Excellent. Very good. Okay, so what does the hadith mean then? So the translation of the hadith is dua, which means supplication. Supplication is the essence of worship. Supplication is the essence of worship. So okay, what does this mean? So this means this: in Islam, all the acts of ibadah that we have, every single act of ibadah, whether it's salat, whether it's zakat, whether it's helping the poor, whether it's being kind to your family, with anything, all the types of ibadah that you have. Sorry, ism. Too much isms for me, guys. Islam. Yeah. So in Islam, all the types of ibadah that you have, if you were to try to find or put your finger on what's the real kind of engine of all this ibadah, what's the powerhouse of all the ibadah, what motivates ibadah and multiplies the rewards and magnifies it, it all goes down to dua. And dua is a concept which is supplicating to Allah. So the more consciousness you have of Allah in these acts that you do, and like we said about intention before, the dua itself is what makes every single ibadah alive. So this is why the ulama say that you should spend time every single day in doing sincere dua to Allah. That it doesn't have to be after salat, it doesn't have to be at a particular time in the day, but just take out a few minutes every single day. You don't have to raise your hands if you don't want to. Just do it in your heart and just ask Allah anything you want. And be sincere in your dua. Ask Allah Ta'ala for things that you want in this dunya and in the hereafter. And you'll see the effect of that will pour over into your salat, into your recitation of Quran, into your dhikr, into even giving charity and all other things in life. Because Islam is all about being consciousness of Allah or aware of Allah, taqwa. And that's developed through dua. Does that make sense? And this is why if a person doesn't focus on their dua, their ibadat just becomes a skeleton. That's what it is. And they might pray their 5 times salat every day or read Quran, but it's like on autopilot mode. They don't really feel anything after they recite it, or they don't really feel anything when they pray salat, or they don't feel anything when they try to do anything good, because they don't have that soul inside of it, the mukh, the core. And mukh, the word mukh, it means like marrow. So inshallah, make effort in your du'as, inshallah, and Allah will put barakah in your ibadat. Alhamdulillah. So let's summarize what we've done today, and then you can ask your questions. So today we covered these issues: composition of sentences, links between words, shibh jumla, partial sentences, and we talked about marfu'at and mansubat. And in the types of sentences, we said I made a list of 14 sentences. So this is actually something that I've collected myself from different sources. So it's very useful. 14 different types of mubtada forms that you can get. And then the first 10, you can actually get different forms of files. And likewise, different forms of maf'ul bihis. And I added to file a maf'ul bihi zaida. If you get min zaida, alright, then that can also be considered as a file and a maf'ul, and don't treat it as a majroor. It's actually considered to be marfu. Okay, and then we talked about also examples of in the Quran. Okay, so any questions, guys? Nope. Alright, guys, hope you guys understood that. So again, if you guys can try those handouts I sent last week. So alhamdulillah, some of you guys have done it. So if you can try and fill those in, so that you can break down, do the tarkeeb of the following hadith. Try to do about 3 or 4 hadith on your own. Right, try to do them, and when we go through them in class, you'll see your mistakes. So I can correct them for you as well, but you'll see where you're going wrong, and inshallah slowly you'll see your development as well. And you can also, if you've got time, you can also go through the Quran, select a surah, start from a surah, and try to break down the verses into mubtada and khabars. Try using it with a translation, and try breaking down the sentences into jumla ismiyas, jumla fi'liyas. Any questions, guys? Yep, go for it. Yeah, so good question this is. Does mubtada always appear at the beginning of the sentence? Technically it should, but like I said to you, remember when I defined a mubtada, or when I defined jumla ismiya, I said it's a ism based sentence, and I didn't say it's a sentence that starts off with an ism, right, to try and avoid this issue. So technically all mubtadas, because a mubtada means beginning, should appear at the beginning of the sentence. But inshallah, as we go through the lessons, we're going to learn that sometimes the mubtada cannot appear at the beginning. It has to be delayed. Right? So inshallah, we'll be looking at that as well. Has that answered your question? Alright guys, take care inshallah. Remember your du'as inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.